Most people think life insurance is something you figure out eventually, somewhere after the mortgage, after the kids are older, after things settle down. Here is the problem with that thinking. The moment you most need life insurance is also the exact moment it is cheapest to buy it, and most people buy it 10 years too late, or not at all. A healthy 30-year-old can get $1 million of life insurance coverage for under $30 a month. Wait until you are 50 to buy the same coverage. You will pay 6 times more for the exact same protection. That price difference is not a minor inconvenience. It is a financial decision worth understanding properly. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. Let me tell you what most people actually believe about life insurance. Because the research on this is genuinely striking, more than half of Americans think life insurance costs roughly 3 times more than it actually does. That is not a slight overestimate. That is a belief so far from reality that it is keeping millions of people unprotected for no financial reason. And it is not just about cost. There are 102 million adults in the United States alone who acknowledge they need more life insurance coverage than they currently have, but have not done anything about it. 102 million people who know the gap exists and have not closed it. The reason is almost always one of three things: cost. They think it is more expensive than it is. Complexity. They do not know what type or how much to buy. Or the most human reason of all, they have not seriously considered their own mortality, and buying life insurance requires doing exactly that. Today, I want to address all three, because life insurance, when bought correctly and at the right time, is one of the most efficient financial decisions you can make in your 30s. And when bought incorrectly, or not at all, it is one of the most expensive mistakes a family can absorb. Before we talk about how much you need, let me clarify what life insurance actually is, because there is a version of this conversation that is sold to people rather than explained to them, and the two are very different. Life insurance is income replacement. That is the core of it. If you die and your income disappears with you, life insurance is the financial bridge that allows the people who depend on your income to continue their lives without being financially destroyed. That is it. It is not an investment vehicle. It is not a wealth building tool. It is not a savings account with a death benefit attached. It is income replacement, protection against the financial consequences of dying while people still depend on you. Now, there are two primary types of life insurance, and understanding the difference between them is the most important thing I can tell you. Term life insurance provides coverage for a specific period of time, typically 10, 20, or 30 years. If you die within that term, your beneficiaries receive the death benefit. If you do not die within that term, the policy expires. That is the entire product. It is simple, it is transparent, and for the vast majority of people under 40, it is exactly what they need. Here is what term life actually costs in 2025 and 2026. A healthy 30-year-old woman can get $1 million of 20-year term life coverage for roughly $28 to $35 per month. A healthy 30-year-old man, slightly higher due to statistical life expectancy differences, pays around $35 to $45 per month for the same coverage. At 40, those numbers rise to approximately $50 to $70 per month for a woman and $60 to $80 per month for a man, for the same $1 million of coverage. By 50, you are looking at $150 to $200 per month for a woman and $180 to $250 per month for a man, for the exact same $1 million of coverage. That price escalation is not gradual. It accelerates dramatically in your late 40s and 50s, and it is entirely driven by one factor: your statistical proximity to death, which increases with every year you wait. Whole life insurance and its variants, universal life, variable life, are permanent policies that never expire as long as premiums are paid. They build cash value over time and have higher premiums as a result, For most people in their 30s and 40s, the whole life conversation is a distraction from the more important conversation, which is whether they have adequate income replacement in place at all. The insurance industry has a strong financial incentive to sell you whole life. The commissions are significantly higher. The sales pitch is sophisticated and often compelling. My position is straightforward. If you do not have any life insurance at all, term life is where to start. It costs less, covers more for the same premium, and addresses the core problem, which is income replacement, not investment returns. Let me make this concrete with a real scenario. Meet David and Amara, both 33 years old, married, two children, ages 4 and 7. David earns $75,000 a year. Amara earns $65,000. They have a mortgage with $280,000 remaining. They have $45,000 in savings and investments combined. David dies unexpectedly at 34. No life insurance. Amara loses $75,000 of annual household income overnight. She has a mortgage she cannot pay alone on her salary. Two young children who need childcare she can now barely afford. $45,000 in savings that will cover roughly 8 months of expenses if she is extremely careful. After 8 months, she is making financial decisions under the worst possible conditions: grief, stress, and a financial crisis happening simultaneously. She may lose the house. She will certainly lose the financial trajectory the family was on. And the children will grow up in a household that is financially recovering from a single event that could have been protected against for $35 a month. Now, the same scenario. With a $750,000 term life policy in place, David dies at 34. Amara receives $750,000 tax-free. She pays off the $280,000 mortgage entirely. She has $470,000 remaining, invested at a conservative 5% annual return that produces roughly $23,500 per year in passive income, indefinitely. Combined with her own salary, the family's standard of living is maintained. The children's education is funded. The financial crisis does not happen. That protection, the difference between those two outcomes, cost $35 a month for a 20-year term, applied at the right time. I want you to understand that the product itself is not complicated. What is complicated is the decision to buy it while you are young and healthy and do not feel like you need it. This is the part of the life insurance conversation that almost nobody addresses, and it is the part that explains why people who intellectually understand the need still do not buy it. Buying life insurance requires you to accept, at least for a moment, that you are going to die. And not in the abstract way we all technically know we will die, but in the specific, actuarial, this could happen before my children finish school kind of way. That confrontation is genuinely uncomfortable, and the human brain deals with discomfort by deferring it. I'll look into this when things slow down. I'm young. I have time. I need to research it more first. These are not logical responses to the decision. They are avoidance responses dressed in the language of responsibility. Behavioral economists call this present bias, the tendency to disproportionately discount future consequences in favor of present comfort. In personal finance, present bias is responsible for delayed retirement savings, ignored insurance, and underfunded emergency funds. It is not a character flaw, it is a feature of how the human brain processes long-term risk. But understanding it is how you override it. The question is not whether you need life insurance. If you have dependents, people who rely on your income to live, you need it. The question is only whether the discomfort of confronting your mortality will continue to cost your family more money every year you defer. Here is how to approach this correctly. Step 1. Determine whether you actually need it. Life insurance makes financial sense when at least one of these is true. Someone depends on your income: a spouse, a child, a parent. You have debts that another person would be responsible for if you died. You provide a service, childcare, household management, that would cost money to replace if you were gone. Your death would cause a financial hardship for someone who loved you. If none of these apply, you are single, no dependents, no shared debts, financially independent. Term life insurance may not be your priority right now, but for most people in their 30s, at least one of these applies. Step 2. Calculate how much you actually need. The widely cited formula is 10 to 12 times your annual income. This is a reasonable starting point, not a precise answer. A more accurate calculation considers four things: income replacement, how many years of your income would need to be replaced, and at what annual amount; debt elimination, the total of all outstanding debts you would want cleared; future obligations, your children's education costs, future care needs, minus your current assets, savings and investments already in place. For a 35-year-old earning $80,000 with a mortgage, two children, and $60,000 in savings, the honest number is often $750,000 to $1,200,000, not the $250,000 group policy their employer provides. Step 3. Choose the right term length. The term should cover your financial dependency window, the period during which your death would cause a genuine financial crisis for the people who depend on you. For most people with young children and a mortgage, a 20-year term bought in your early 30s covers you to your early 50s, by which point your children are financially independent, your mortgage is significantly reduced or paid off, and your investment portfolio has had 2 decades to grow. Step 4. Buy it before something changes. This is the point most people miss entirely. Life insurance is priced on your current health, not your future health. The 35-year-old who has not yet been diagnosed with high blood pressure or elevated cholesterol or a family history condition will pay a fraction of what that same person pays 2 years later after those conditions appear. You cannot go back and buy the policy you could have had when you were healthy. You can only buy the policy you qualify for today. Step 5. Separate insurance from investment. If someone is trying to sell you a financial product that is simultaneously insurance and an investment with cash value and tax advantages and retirement income potential, take a step back. It may be the right product for your situation, but understand what you are comparing it against. A term policy for the same death benefit will almost always cost less. The difference in premium, if invested separately, often outperforms the cash value component of a whole life policy. Do the comparison before you sign. Here is the thought I want to leave you with. Most financial decisions we talk about on this channel are about building savings, building investments, building a portfolio, everything pointing toward growth. Life insurance is the only financial product we discuss that is entirely about maintaining the financial life someone else has built alongside you, maintaining the promise that the people who depend on you will not have their lives financially derailed because of an event they had no control over. There is something deeply important in that. Wealth building is about what you are accumulating, but financial responsibility, at its most serious, is also about what you are protecting. The version of you that reviews your finances at 50, or never has to, because someone else is reviewing theirs after your death, will either be grateful that you made this decision young and cheap, or will be dealing with the consequences of having deferred it. The 30-year-old who pays $35 a month for $1 million of coverage is making one of the most cost-effective financial decisions available to any person at any income level. The 50-year-old who finally gets around to it is paying $200 a month for exactly the same thing. Same protection, 6 times the cost. The only difference was time. If you found this useful, share it with someone you know who has been putting this conversation off, because the people who need to see this video most are the ones who have been telling themselves they will get to it eventually. Subscribe to Nuella Invests because every week we cover the financial decisions that actually matter, the ones that compound over time, protect what you have built, and move you closer to genuine financial freedom. And drop a comment below. I want to know, do you have life insurance in place right now? If you do, when did you get it? And do you think you have enough? If you do not, what has been stopping you? I read every comment, and I will tell you exactly what I think about your specific situation. I will see you next week.